It's just common sense. We protect our politicians, our airports, our banks, even our sporting events with armed personnel. Schools should be too, right? Including teachers. However, there is pushback to some of these common sense defensive and deterrent measures, and some of this resistance is coming from teachers' unions. Joining me now from Tamarack, Florida, president of the Broward Teachers Union, Anna Fusco. Anna, after 9/11, federal law was changed and allowed pilots to carry firearms if they chose into the cockpit, sidearm, if you will. Since then, we've had no incidents that I know of any kind of discharge of the firearm, either in defense or by accident. In other words, this is working. So why wouldn't it work in the classroom?
Well, teachers are trained to be nurturers, writing lesson plans, bringing in content. It's not in our nature to be holding of firearms and to take that type of cover in protecting our students, which we've shown in every school shooting that we will jump in and protect our students, but to actually fire and shoot a gun to kill.
You have a sprawling campus. So we just heard the President of the United States today talk about the size of this campus in Parkland, that it would have taken in the neighborhood of 100, maybe 150 armed guards to properly protect this facility. That's just not feasible. It's just simply not feasible. Doesn't it make sense that if someone who has a concealed carry permit and who also happens to be a teacher, that teacher should be able to carry in order to protect students if necessary?
And when they're going to have this type of training put out there? Where's the money coming from for all of this training? Guns, ammunition. We don't have the proper money to give resources to our schools to have protection, let alone have ink in our printers. I mean, it all boils down to where's the money going to come from in that aspect. And then the other aspect is that we are hired in our job description to be teachers, not to be gun armsmen, to shoot somebody and possibly shoot to kill.
All right, but as far as the funding is concerned, you're right. It's up to the priority of the school board, for example. And the school board, your local school board, every local school board has to figure out what the priorities are. Are the priorities possibly, some sort of strange social experiment, spending money on that, or possibly hiring an armed guard? That's number one. But number two, we know that this works, and we know that it works beautifully in this country by the name of Israel. And we know this from published reports out of Israel of what they did when terrorists attacked a school in Malat in 1974. Israel did not declare every school a gun-free zone. It passed a law mandating armed security in schools, provided weapons training to teachers, and today runs frequent active shooter drills. There have been only 2 school shootings since then, and both have ended with teachers killing the terrorists. So if we can mandate, Anna, that boys can use girls' bathrooms and showers, shouldn't we be able to mandate, hey, if you're a teacher, you have a concealed carry permit, you want to carry a firearm on campus, the heck with the gun-free zone, protect the kids?
I say that we have great police officers out there that can do that job, which they are hired and trained to do. Let the teachers stay in the classroom and teach their students, willing, which we have been for years, to take the active shooter training, which is what helped those teachers at Parkland to take cover and protect their students. With that type of arsenal that walked into that campus, I don't believe any teacher armed would have been able to take out that type of gunman, because the teachers are not going to be armed with AR-15s. I don't believe that would be allowed.
No, but this guy Cruz shot up the building. He shot, I think, more than 100 rounds, and he hit just a small percentage of people. Thank God that he did, and he wasn't that great a shot. I think we're both presuming here. But the bottom line is you have Scott Beagle, who tried to save lives, and many of the students believe that Scott Beagle did save lives. 35-year-old, he was killed in this attack. He's the geography teacher, cross-country coach at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. Don't we owe it to Scott Beagle to say, hey, here's a guy that was apparently trying to usher the kids in the classroom, was caught in some kind of position at the door, and the gunman got him. Imagine if Scott had a gun to return fire. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe the guy would have fled down the stairs.
I mean, we all could do the what is and the could ifs. And what if Scott was still one of those teachers that didn't have the gun? I mean, we can't work on what ifs and could ifs. We have to be rational. We have to really look deep into what is going to be the best for the safety of our schools. And right now, I believe everybody is working on adrenaline and the tragedy that happened.
All right.
And I believe that most people want to put out what's in the best interest of others and just don't have all the logistics down pat.
All right, so what is the teachers union
Army,
solution to what went on? Is it simply more gun legislation? What are you all saying that needs to be done now post-shooting?
a variety of things we feel needs to be done. One is definitely better gun regulations. We would love to see the AR-15 taken off the market and out of everyone's hands because it's an unnecessary gun that shoots off multiple rounds for the purpose of killing multiple anything in a short amount of time. And that would be a first step. And other steps of to increasing resources to have more officers, better trained officers, armed with great equipment as officers, and of course resources to help out with the social and emotional situations that are going on across our country.
So in other words, hire some more
Not just
counselors
people.
that may be union members that can swell your ranks rather than hiring people who can protect the campus? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying all of it. I think that all of it needs to be done. I mean, we're unfortunately in a society where these madmen or mad women come about for whatever social and emotional deviances they have, and they get their hands on some type of tool, whether it be the AR-15 or any type of other tool that can harm or cause damage, and they don't only always choose schools. I mean, we saw a year ago they chose a nightclub, they've chose a church. There are different places where they choose to go into that unfortunately we don't always know where they're going to pick that next target.
But banning the
And
AR-15 is not necessarily going to stop a killer from killing. You know that to be true. If a killer wants to
well,
kill, if a killer wants to obtain a firearm, they're going to do it on the black market. You know, raising the age of a person to be able to purchase an AR-15 or any kind of firearm is going to do absolutely nothing. This is a feel-good move on the part of people who don't understand the Second Amendment. Shouldn't we be teaching the Second Amendment in school and worrying about that and explaining to these young people why it's so precious to have a Second Amendment and that virtually no other country on the planet has it? Isn't that more important?
I believe it's important that we teach all the amendments, and the Second Amendment just happens to fall into a very important category right now because of this tragedy and the other school tragedy that happened 5 years ago, and then the Pulse tragedy that happened a year ago, and the church tragedy happened. 18 shootings happened within 2 months of our 2018 school year. So yes, it is a sparked topic right now that happens to be an enlightened amendment to talk about and teach. I agree with you that that definitely shouldn't be ignored as a teachable moment. But I also believe that personally, that weapon has no needs to be in somebody's hands. Why don't you tell me why somebody needs to have a weapon that can round off 160 rounds in less than a few seconds?
The reason is the framers of the Constitution wanted us to be able to defend ourselves against a government that's gone out of control. And we argue on this program that in many cases our government is out of control. And that is the reason. And taking away an AR-15 is not going to save anybody's life. So let me ask you this, with all due respect, does the ATA, do the teachers union really have any say in this at all? Shouldn't it be up to the parents going into the school boards and saying, hey, we want the teachers armed?
I think everybody should have a say in it. Nobody stood up and said the teachers union should only have the voice and what we say goes. If that was the case, we wouldn't be supporting our 300, 400 students and parents that are up in Tallahassee right now to discuss these armed bills that are coming forward today. We believe that everybody should have a say in it. That's what democracy is. Teachers union is only one piece. And by the way, teachers unions are teachers. We are teachers, which is predominantly women. 98% of the school teachers are women.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that women can't hold a gun or learn how to shoot a gun or they're in combat, but it's still an area where we go to school to be educated, to be educators and nurture and love and not teach violence and not harm each other. And to say to have a gun that you're going to use to possibly kill is just a radical movement to start off with.
Well, I think there's a lot of women out there who are bristling at what you just said there, who happen to have licenses to carry firearms, who happen to own firearms at their home, and probably would be willing to discharge that firearm in defense of those children. And that's what this is all about. And an anti-gun stance in the classroom. You know, we hear all this pablum that's being thrown out there about blood on the hands of the NRA. I don't think the blood is going to be on the hands of the NRA if the teachers union continue to have this anti-gun stance in the classroom, because this unfortunately could happen again unless some common sense measures, including allowing teachers to carry if they wish, are implemented so that kids are protected. Anna, out of time. Thank you.